On today's episode of Gathering the Kings.
All right, guys, Chaz Wolf coming back at you, Gathering the Kings podcast. And today, dude, Tyler Simpson on the show today. We just got done with an incredible pod. And Tyler, the energy coming from such a youthful seven-figure owner, I'm jacked. I'm inspired on my side. Thanks for coming. It was awesome, wasn't it?
Absolutely, dude. It was absolutely freaking amazing. I can't thank you enough for having me on today. It was fantastic.
This guy has an incredible story. He literally breaks it down. Make sure you grab your pen and paper because it's about to go down. You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolf, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. All right, welcome to the stage, Tyler Simpson. Dude, thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence today. We are in for a treat. Thanks for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, man. Glad to be here.
Awesome, dude. Well, so you're a 7-figure business owner, but you're a young dude. And so we got all kinds of stuff to talk about today because I know there's other young dudes and ladies listening right now. And your story is unique, just as all of our stories are. And so let's dive in with what does the business look like today? Kind of the current status of things. Just give us a quick overview of what you're involved in, what your hands in, what's the business look like?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So basically, we are in the grocery, retail, and restaurant industry. We're kind of all in one. It's a big family business that we got going on. We got RV parks going on, beer bars going in, grocery store, gas station, kind of a little conglomerate that we got going on around here.
I
So
love it. I love it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, obviously, with those 3 or 4 different kind of angles, but all kind of in one conglomerate. You're located in the same place.
mhm,
Your story is a little unique because you're in a small area, but a little bit of a touristy area. So you're capturing local/touristy business.
absolutely.
Tell us a little, just give us another like 30 seconds on like restaurant, what kind of food do you have? What's unique about the grocery store gas station combo? Like give us a little bit of the hit.
Definitely. So I can offhand for say that the restaurant itself is absolutely unique. I mean, we have the upside down buns. You won't find that for a few hundred miles around here. Actually, I really
What
don't know of
is
really
an
many
upside
places.
down bun, Tyler?
So you taking your regular hamburger bun, right? The old traditional good right side up hamburger bun. Okay,
Okay.
flip it over.
Flip it
So
over.
bottom bun is now on the bottom, but facing the wrong way. Top bun is usually has the nice dome on it.
Yeah.
It's facing the other way. So you actually have like a weird stack going on. So you
Interesting. And
actually
and and so
yeah.
what does that do for me as the consumer, Tyler? Help me understand. What's this doing to my
So
taste buds?
what that is doing to your taste buds. So we actually have a fancy bun toaster. It's a vertical bun toaster. So that actually allows us to get a nice butter crust on the bun as it
Ooh,
toasts. So when
yeah.
you sink your teeth in, that is the absolute first thing that you're sinking your teeth into. So it's giving your taste buds that extra rich experience
I
when
love
you
it.
go
I
through.
love it. And I love the butter top. I mean, we could talk about business
Absolutely.
all day or we can talk about butter. I mean, both are basically just as glorious.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
So
And this was your idea. Now some of your history is this is a family business, it's been around for a long time,
mhm,
but
mhm.
you're not just the old chap off the block who's like just taking over what daddy did. You've come in and you've
Yep.
really done your own
Yep.
thing and it's been incredible. The upside down burger, in fact, is your creation.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's 100% my creation. I mean, I started the restaurant about 5, 6 years ago now, and
Love it.
we took the food program from doing about 10,000 a year to now doing a little bit over 230 a year, in the
Yeah.
last 5 years. And absolutely, my brainchild took as the second we introduced the upside down bun, sales went up 40%. So
Wow.
it's pretty hard to argue with the uniqueness of it. So
The uniqueness brings attention, and we can get to some of that here in a little bit when you tell us about your journey and story and stuff. But you hear that
absolutely,
all across, podcasts and TikTok videos and stuff today. If you're in business and listening to anything business, it's you got to get attention and you got to get, your people to notice what you're doing. And so we're gonna flip the buns upside down, create an amazing, tasteful experience, and you're gonna
Mhm.
want to come try it. Is what you're saying to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. It gets people talking.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so a lot to dive in here because you've got a business that is working inside of a family that you are now in proprietary control of. But then
Yes,
also
sir.
too, you've gotten things that you've done on your own and then new projects coming. And so I want to dive into all that. So let's keep moving here. Before we go into some of that stuff, what drives you at this moment now? You got all these things going on. You're a seven-figure business owner, the quote unquote, you've made it status. What drives you even at this moment to keep going?
Well, that is a fantastic question because, your goals are only so high, right? At the end of the day, what I've always had this innate personality about me where I just want to keep going. Nothing is ever enough. What's the next best thing that we can do? Great. We hit seven figures. Let's go to eight. We hit eight. Great. Let's go to nine. We hit nine. Let's go to 10. You know, just want to keep stacking and keep going. I mean, you got to have goals so big that you're scared of not making them happen. So,
Yeah.
and that's how I look at it.
I love that, and obviously there's all kinds of implementation and technique that goes into making those things actually happen. But it starts with what you're talking about. So if you're listening right now and you're taking notes, Tyler has already dropped a huge bomb on you right now, which is you've got to be able to think big. You've got to be able to put things in front of you that do make you scared. It can't just be the things that you already know you're going to do. It's got to be something that makes you a little nervous. You wonder, is this even possible? And what that does then as an entrepreneur, when you're writing this stuff down, as you guys I'm sure heard me talk about, your brain then gets forced into, well, how do I make this happen? Or better yet, who do I need to work with or collaborate with, or who do I need to hire or whatever, unto then being able to complete this project. So that's gold. Thank you so much, Tyler. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me where entrepreneurship began for you. Obviously, it probably ran in the family, but how did your journey start?
So my journey actually started. Me and my little brother, we started selling watermelon, cantaloupe, and snow cones outside Dad's store
There you
back in the day when
go.
we were about 10. We little lads, so flipping snow cones. But from there, it kind of spiraled off into. I went into photography for years throughout
Wow.
high school, a little bit of middle school. That's how I paid my bills was photography, and
Wow.
then it from there it blossomed into did a little bit of construction work, but none of that was my own. And at about 19, that's when I started selling soft stuffed pretzels and turned into a restaurant from there. So
Yeah, I remember off air because obviously you and I have gotten to know each other over the last even couple of weeks pretty good.
yeah.
And you told me about this story about how you created this pretzel, a whole brand new recipe basically,
Mhm.
and you're 19 years old, like out of high school. Most people are thinking about how do I party, how do I be with my friends, and you're creating
Yeah.
a new recipe for a pretzel that ends up basically going viral. It was
Yeah.
outside of being
Y
on TikTok, but it was huge. Tell me about the
yeah.
pretzel.
Yeah, so the pretzel, it really got started in so I went to college for a very brief stint, and that's actually where I came up with the idea. So and everybody in class was like, "Yo, dude, that sounds like a phenomenal idea. You should try it." I was, "Alright. We'll see what happens here." First batch, terrible, absolutely terrible. No clue what I'm doing, right?
You
I've
could have
never
quit. You
baked.
could have quit, but you
Yeah,
didn't.
coulda quit. Never baked a day in my life. Kept working at it, kept working at it. Finally got a good pretzel recipe, and from there, we actually laid out the dough, stuffed it, cheese, jalapenos, breakfast. We had pizza, all that good
Wow.
stuff, and then started selling them in the store a little bit. My dad gave me a little bit of a space, and then from there, it blew up. We went to schools, we did some fundraisers, we were in bars, we were all
Yeah.
over the place with that thing. So
That's
it was awesome.
incredible. The
Awesome.
journey here, as you're listening and taking notes from Tyler, is that he didn't quit, right? Like it was just an idea, but his friends around him actually encouraged him, which is not always necessarily the entrepreneur journey.
No,
Sometimes we get
it is not always the case.
discouraged, right?
Yes, yeah,
You
absolutely, very
luckily had some
fortunate.
folks around you saying, "Hey, try this out. This sounds awesome." And so you were able to press in. And I love the persistence there of getting the recipe right, even at a young age. To have persistence like that is unique. And so if you're listening right now, persistence is absolutely key. Like we hear that sounds cliche, but what that means is that you got to have some stick to itiveness. You need to not just make the decision, but then you need to stick to it, see it through, be persistent until it comes to fruition or until you can get the result that you're looking for. And so that's an incredible example. Now you've given us an upside down bun, which makes me hungry, and now a cheesy pizza
Uh,
breakfast filled pretzel. I'm gonna at the end here. I'm gonna ask people how to connect with you, but right now for the listener, please tell them where you're located and where your restaurant is, and they can get these amazing things. Just real quick, tell us where you're located.
So I'm in a tiny town called Nissa, Oregon. I'm about 50 miles outside of Boise. The restaurant itself is called Rockstore Grill. Come on in. We got brand new seating area to come check out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
incredible place, and you can do some fishing, you can do some hiking, I'm sure, in the
Yes.
area. Beautiful,
Absolutely.
beautiful place.
Beautiful
Uh,
area.
all right, let's continue on. So we're gonna go into decisions. I love this part of the show because for me personally, decisions, good and bad, are the marker of where I am, right? Like, period.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, do you have a formula or a process around making decisions, Tyler?
My basic formula is, is this going to make me happy? Right. I can't really get into something if it's not going to make me happy. I mean, initially everything new always like this is cool, but in the long run, if I'm not happy 6 months from now doing it,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And that really came about from making those bad decisions. Like, oh, I'm not happy no more doing what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
that's when that formula kind of started. So
I love that
that's
answer. How have you figured out the difference between I don't like doing this anymore, so it's not good for me versus it's just hard and I got to press through, right? Because some people are going to hear you and they're going to go, "Oh, well,
right.
I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do the hard work." Right?
Fair
Tyler said
enough.
just to follow
Yes.
my heart, right? How do I know the difference, Tyler?
Right, right. So the difference really is there's a clear line of when something is actually hard and when you just physically it is not good for you to continue on.
Sure.
So for me, it's you're wanting to sleep every day. You're not wanting to wake up. You're not excited to get out of bed. Even if it is a hard challenge, you still should be like, all right, let's tackle the day to day, you
Right.
know? And that really is the definitive line of
Okay.
this is no longer healthy for me. I'm not eating, I'm not doing well.
Right.
People around me are like, hey, dude, what's going on?
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, that's the biggest thing.
So I'm hearing emotional stability basically from the angle of, am I fulfilling my purpose? Right? Like,
Correct.
am I doing what
Yes.
I should be doing? And if I'm not, what you're saying is there should be some adverse effects.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
sometimes we that persistence word comes through, we just got to stick to it,
Uh-huh.
like we
Correct.
just talked about.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, and so for the listener here taking notes, I want you to hear what the line that he's drawing is that every entrepreneurial journey is hard. Period. Right?
Mhm.
Like I already
Yes.
know
Percent.
from off camera here some things that Tyler is going through even right now. Like you got some tough things on
Right.
your place right now. And
Absolutely.
but that doesn't mean that you don't press in like you said, and you're not like,
Nope.
let's go figure it out.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
charge the hill. So that's the
Yes.
line. And if it goes negative past that, then you need to look at, does this fulfill my purpose? Or maybe even a little bit more clear, does it get me
Yes.
what I want? Does it
Yeah.
get me what I
Is it
want?
is it
Do I even
pushing
know what I want?
is it pushing me to my dream, and really at the
Love
end of the
that.
day, if you have a solid idea of where you wanna go in life, those decisions become really easy to make.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Clear idea where you're going helps you make good
Mhm.
decisions. That's what I heard there. Okay, so give us
Right.
an idea of a bad decision that you have made that would be helpful for the listener to not repeat.
Terrible decisions I've made is making bad investments in stuff that doesn't make me happy. It is
Oh,
not pushing me towards what I'm gonna do. So,
okay.
for example, about 4 years ago now, I sunk about $10,000 into, this real estate thing, this wholesale real estate thing, gonna get taught by this guru. Couple
Yeah,
months in, I'm like, "Man, I suck at this. This is not helping me out at all. What am I doing? I'm 10
right,
grand in a hole. I have no clue what I'm gonna do." So,
right.
yeah, that's an example of a very bad financial decision and emotional decision I made right there. So,
Sure. Right, and so the end result ended up not being what you thought it was, and so I'm sure, just because I know you well enough at this point to that you pulled out nuggets from that,
right.
because no bad decision is actually a failure, right? Like, we learn from it.
No,
We know
it's
this
a
as
it's all
entrepreneurs.
success. It's all
Right.
success.
So what specifically with that decision, because you're not in wholesale anymore, or maybe you never even really climbed the ladder on that, but
Yeah,
what did you learn in
literally
that process of spending the money, doing the learning, figuring out it wasn't for you? What was the lesson for you?
I've always been a huge philosopher, big dreamer. So the big lesson for me was make sure you got your assets in the right place, right? Don't overstretch yourself with
Yeah.
what you got going on around you. And that really put me in a financial bind. So
Mm,
so I've from here on out, from
yep.
then on out, I really was like, okay. Where are my financial assets at? What can I put them where? Where are my best strengths? And how can I best spend that money to
Mhm.
double it, to triple it?
Right. So
So,
you didn't fall back into fear of, "Oh, I can never spend money again. I made a bad choice." It
correct.
was, "No, let me take a look at this choice. Let me learn from it. But then as I go forward and continue to make financial decisions, because as a seven-figure owner, you're making $10,000 decisions almost every single day, probably,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right? And so you can't be fearful. But to you, you're like, okay, let me just put a little structure to my decision making, which you kind of already gave
Correct.
us a little bit of that formula. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Absolutely.
transition to a good decision. Can you give us just a highlight of like something that was just like, yes,
Well, a good decision straight out of the gate. Had to be starting those pretzels. Had to
that's
be
right.
coming up with that recipe. I mean, that was a banger from day one. So,
That's
an
awesome.
example of a very good decision that I made.
Yeah, and so the decision there, what I'm hearing, just for the listener to kind of break it down a little bit, is I took a risk. I had no idea what I was doing because you said
Yes.
I'd never baked a day in my life.
Mhm.
It was just an idea. I was uncertain about whether I was actually going to fulfill it or not. But once some legs got underneath it, I'm like, maybe this could be something. So I pressed into it. Several
Yes.
good decisions, kind of
Absolutely.
back to back to back. It sounds like.
Yeah. I took the chance to invest in myself, and
Yeah.
that was the best decision you could ever make.
That's so true. That's so true. Okay. I love all of the good and bad decision stuff. Let's switch lines just a little bit and talk this discipline for just a
Yes.
half second. All areas of life, business, finance, family, whatever it comes down to. Obviously, you're even working inside of a business with family, and so that might even be a little unique part of your story to tell. But how do you
Definitely.
stay disciplined in all of these things you got going on?
Personally, I'm up at 5 a.m. every day. I have it. It became known to me years ago that I was a big dreamer, and if I didn't write stuff down, stuff got lost. You know,
Yep.
oh, that's a cool idea. There it
Phew,
goes.
there it went.
So I invested in paper tablets. I invested in notepads to keep me on track. What do I got to do today? What's going to push me forward? And
Yeah.
waking up at 5 a.m. every day, working out, sweating, eating right, drinking right. So it
Yeah.
definitely helped keep your mind right.
That's awesome. You've hinted several times at your personality or some skill sets that you have naturally, and then also then the opposite side of that, which is a weakness. And I do the same thing inside of my programs as well as my employees. We've talked about this as well, you and I off the record here, but knowing who you are, it sounds like for you has been able, like, first off, you have to be honest with yourself,
Mm,
right? You've had to
yes.
be honest with yourself that I'm a dreamer. Okay, well, that sounds kind of cool. But what does that really mean for Tyler? What you just told us is a dreamer isn't necessarily known as an executor or an implementer, right?
No,
And
no.
and until that stage where all you can do is just dream and that be your only
Mhm.
role, you gotta have to implement. You're gonna have to execute. So
Yes.
writing stuff down, being up at a specific time so that way you can kind of start working through the checklist of the day, those things have been super practical. Even though we know these things, we know get up
Yes.
earlier or hit the
Yeah.
gym, like create a to-do list, like write it down. We know these things.
Mhm.
Why don't we do them? Why didn't you do them before?
Well, I was actually very fortunate to start learning these habits. I really didn't realize I had these habits because I grew up racing professional motocross, so I was always out training and doing stuff. And and it was that goal of I want to be really good at this that kind of helps put tracks in place for you.
Yeah,
So for me, getting up every day, doing all that stuff really just helps hone in my skills.
100%. Skill set has to be obtained in order to then master it. You can't have
Yes,
any sort of real success without mastery. And
correct.
so to your point, even with motocross, it's getting out there and practicing, right? Like you just got
Yep.
to do
Literally.
it multiple
Mhm.
times and have a discipline, a schedule of some sort behind it, a
Yes.
purpose in your practice, all of that.
Yeah, consistency has been absolutely key for me. So making sure I'm staying on my schedules, making sure I'm doing this, because even if I get off one day, it throws me off.
Yeah.
I can sit down all day and think and dream and do whatever I want. Inside my head, it's awesome, but out here, I'm like, oh wait, I got stuff to do. So
Right. Right. The real world calls. And I think there's the good balance there, right? So you know that you
absolutely,
have strength of idea, strength of creation of new things, strength of pulling nothing out of thin air, really, as a dreamer. That's what you do. But to know the other side of that sword well and to know that, okay, like I'm gonna need people around me and tools around me, which you've already mentioned, to be able to help you get there, which I think is huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely correct.
I'd say most entrepreneurs listening right now are probably in that vision boat of some degree, right?
Hmm.
You've got
You
big
have to.
hopes, big dreams, right? You have to.
Yeah,
Otherwise, why'd you
you
start
have
the
to.
business? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nobody goes in just be like, maybe we can do this. Maybe we
Yeah,
can do this. No,
exactly,
you already know.
exactly.
You
You
already
already
know.
know, but the tools along the way, to Tyler's point here, are what has helped him be successful. And so I would take a second here, even if you need to pause the show here and write down some tools that you're either using that are helpful or that you need to use better, or tools that you should be using that you have access to, or maybe you need to go find new tools. There's all sorts of technologies, or like Tyler even said, good old fashioned pen and paper or a little notebook that
Mhm.
that can help you keep things on track. So you making sure you're using those things around you.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, Tyler, it's time for the speed round. In
Okay.
this in the
Go
speed
for it. I'm
round, we're
ready.
gonna go fast, but I want like punchy, really practical, really helpful answers. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you
Okay.
a series of
Fire away.
questions, and I might ask you to expound, but
Okay.
this is for the six-figure owner who's most likely listening right now, who is trying to get where you are, dude. And these
Okay.
questions are going to be super helpful to them. They're taking notes right now. You ready?
Absolutely. Yeah. Fire away.
Okay. First one is, if you could only track one metric in all of your businesses forever and ever and ever going forward, only one. You can only pick one.
Mhm.
What metric do you pick?
You're tying my hands here, man.
I know.
Employee satisfaction, man. If my employees
Ooh,
are happy, everyone else is going to be happy.
got it. Okay. And so, can you give us anything unique there that you either do special or to increase the employee satisfaction? Like give us a little nugget there.
Well, some fun things we like to do around here. A lot of us are action sports type people, so we go kart racing. I mean, that's what we do. Some good friendly
Nice.
competition to keep people happy, keep people in competition with each other. Competition is
Yeah.
great. It is great for camaraderie. Is great for talking a little shit to somebody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It keeps people happy. So
That's
and
awesome.
then that happiness then entails to the customers. Then they are taking care of the customers as if they're their own. So
Right. No, that's huge. The end customer result, to your point, we've all walked into that restaurant where that employee does not want to be there. They hate their
yep,
job. They hate their
correct.
boss, all that, right? Okay. So I'm hearing work hard.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Good. All right. So next question. What book does a six-figure owner need to read to help them get to the seven-figure level?
It is actually a book that I was just introduced to myself, $100 Million Offers by Alex
Ooh,
Hormozy. That book is a solid book. I've read a lot of books in my day, but
yeah.
that one definitely hits home for a six-figure owner.
That's an incredible book. I too have read it, and I would highly recommend it as well. A lot of very practical things in that book that can help you out.
Definitely.
All right, next question. Do you intentionally network and or mastermind with other high performing entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I do actually. So I actually have a unique situation with the store. There are a ton of people, business owners alike, that come in the store all the time. Come in the grocery store. So I get to sit behind the counter, I get to pick their brain, I get to talk to them all the time. And
Yeah,
outside that, I do go to business conferences to see what
nice.
other people are saying, see what industry leaders are doing in the world. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
ab- absolutely. That's awesome. And so my next question was, do you pay for it? And you've already given me a couple different examples of being able just to network locally without
mhm,
paying. So you don't have
yeah,
to pay if you have the
correct.
right intentions. But then also too, you have sought out conferences and other types of things that you've had to pay for, but you found good value in that. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a good strategy of paid and unpaid is definitely the way to go. So
That's right. So for the six-figure owner, here's what I've found oftentimes is that they hear someone like you say it's worth, time and money to get around other entrepreneurs to be able to think differently, think bigger. You don't know what you
yes,
don't know. All that sounds good, right? But when it comes
yes.
down to it, it's like, man, it like that money could be used for equipment or
Mhm,
materials or
mhm.
to pay my people. Or like it's just
It
like,
is tough.
right?
It is
What do you say
tough.
to them in that?
It's tough, but because I've been there, right? I can spend this $3,000 on this conference, or I can spend this $3,000 on a new sandwich prep station. What
Right.
do? I spend it on this because this helps you get a mindset to then pay for this 2 times over.
Right. I
It
love
helps you
that.
bring in that money.
I love that depiction. And you've got to be able to basically trust in yourself first, right? Like,
Yes, you have to
because
trust
you
yourself.
trust in yourself, you say, hey, if I can get a better mindset, I'll produce twice as much so that I can go buy 2 machines if I wanted to.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
That's awesome. And obviously, a little side secret note here that Tyler's inside of my 7-figure
Yes,
Gathering the
sir.
Kings mastermind. And so we've already had some incredible strategic moments between the two of us as well as in the group.
Beautiful. Mhm.
And so you got some awesome stuff here just a couple days ago
Yes.
when we launched. It was pretty cool.
Yes, it was fantastic. Happy to be a part of it.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so last question. You ready?
Fire away.
Dude, if you lost it all today, all of it, what do
All
you do?
all of it, huh? Taking it all from me?
Taking it
Let's
all.
see. Well, I would probably personally, I would probably hop back into photography. I would
Okay.
hop back into that game. From there, save up some cash, probably start an online business, go from there, write a book about how I struggled. From there, start helping people, start coaching people who are in the same situation that I was in. So
There you go.
always go back to helping people and you'll never lack for money.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I didn't hear him say is roll over, right? Or cry about it. And not that they say like the
Maybe for a day
emotion,
or two.
maybe for a day or two, right? I'm good with that, right? You got to have it like, oh dang, that kicked my teeth in.
That sucks.
That sucks. Exactly. But what the fortitude or the balls to do it again is
Mhm.
what I'm hearing you say is like
The cojones.
it didn't even come as a hesitation to you. It'd be like, well, I guess I would try it again. In this case,
Yeah,
photography, earn up some
you have to.
money, go do another business because that's what you're made for. As a king,
Absolutely.
if we're going to use this gathering the king's language, as a king, this is
Mhm.
what you're made for. You're made to go create, you're made to go
Yeah,
rule, and that
you made to rule
includes
the land.
businesses and yeah, exactly. So you do it again, it sounds like.
Uh-huh, absolutely, I do it 100% again. I cannot stand working for somebody else. I mean, that's not to say it's bad to work for somebody else, but that's just not for me.
Just not how you're designed. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So Tyler, how can someone connect with you? You already shared with us where your restaurant is, but share with where you're located again so they can come check out your restaurant, come visit, do a vacation. But how does someone connect with you personally if they just want to hit you up and get to know more?
Yeah, well, to hit me up on Instagram, a Simpsonator927 is where I'm at on Instagram, a Rockstore Grill, a Owyhee Grocery, got a few pages to hit me up on.
Nice.
Facebook's all the same, so you can find me there. We're located in Nissa, Oregon, about 8 miles outside of Nissa, Oregon, on the way up to Lake Owyhee. So
That's
come out,
awesome.
check us out. There's about 50 miles of reservoir to explore.
There you go. Tons of outdoor exploratory options, and you can get yourself an upside down burger.
That one unique of its kind right there.
It's on my list, bro. I'm coming and I want 2 of them. That's all I'm saying.
Better. Gotta get a double.
Awesome. Sounds good. Okay, Tyler, you've been incredible. Thank you so much for being on the show. You've dropped a value here today. The listener, if they were paying attention, has really actionable items to be able to take away from this. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Chaz. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Thank you for listening to Gathering the Kings today. I hope that you were able to pull out a few nuggets to go apply into your business right away. More importantly, though, I hope that you're realizing that it takes more to be successful than just being by yourself, doing it all on your own, carrying the weight all by yourself. What I have realized, not only in my own journey from multiple businesses and multiple different industries, and now interviewing literally over 200 or 300 other very successful 7, 8, and 9-figure business owners, is that it's tough to do it alone. And so Gathering the Kings literally exists to bring together successful entrepreneurs. In fact, we are putting together 1,000 kings, specifically who are grateful but not done. We're intentionally assembling kings who fight tooth and nail for their business, family, and communities. And here's what we believe, that in the pursuit of excellence in those areas, that it ignites within us the responsibility to govern power and forge a lasting legacy. So if that relates and resonates with you, and you know that you need people around you, sharp, qualified, other very successful business owners, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. I want you to take a look at what we're doing and see if it makes sense for you to be part of our pursuit to 1,000 kings. Talk soon.